It's Tuesday night. You have a game scheduled with the guys, something you've done every week for 5 years. It's your outlet, it's your community. But then, you get a text. She wants to see you. She's had a rough day, or maybe she just misses you. Without a second thought, you cancel the game. You text your friends a vague excuse, drop everything, and rush over to her. You feel noble. You feel like a good boyfriend. You tell yourself, this is what devotion looks like. This is how I show her she is my priority. Fast forward a month. She suggests that maybe your style is a little outdated. She picks out a new shirt. You don't like it, but you wear it. She mentions she doesn't like your sense of humor around her friends. So, you quiet down. You start filtering your thoughts. You start editing your soul. You are convinced that transformation equals love. You believe that if you just mold yourself enough to fit the shape of her desires, you will unlock the perfect relationship. But then, something strange happens. Instead of falling deeper in love, she pulls away. When you express your deepest feelings, she becomes distant. When you try to create closeness by sacrificing your own needs, she creates space. You respond the only way you know how. You chase harder. You give more. You sacrifice deeper. You start walking on eggshells that you built yourself, apologizing for needs you are ashamed to have, and defending choices you no longer remember making independently. Your friends ask where you've been. Your family asks who you've become. And you? You are exhausted, resentful, and confused. Welcome to the Aphorism Archive. Today, we are not talking about how to get the girl. We are talking about how to keep your soul. We are going to expose the specific relationship behaviors that feel like love, look like romance, but biologically and psychologically function like kryptonite. We are going to dismantle the nice guy myth that destroys your attractiveness while promising to enhance it. This is about the difference between healthy devotion and psychological self-destruction. If you are ready to stop negotiating your existence for approval, hit that subscribe button. Let's begin. The first and most lethal mistake men make is treating their personal boundaries as negotiable suggestions rather than fixed laws of physics. In the modern dating landscape, we are often taught that compromise is the golden rule. And yes, regarding where to eat dinner or what color to paint the living room, compromise is healthy. But there is a fatal error in logic that happens when you confuse preference with principle. Boundaries are not obstacles to intimacy. They are the prerequisites for attraction. Think of a country without borders. It isn't a nation, it's just land. It commands no respect, it has no definition, and eventually, it gets invaded. A man without boundaries is exactly the same. When you compromise your physical comfort zones, ignore your instinctive limits, or pretend to enjoy things you actually despise just to keep the peace, you aren't being accommodating. You are teaching her a very dangerous lesson. You are teaching her that your authentic desires are negotiable commodities. When you say yes when you mean no, you commit a small act of identity suicide. This is often called the chameleon effect. You change colors to match your environment hoping to blend in and be safe. But in romance, safety is not the goal, polarity is. Women often test boundaries. This isn't malicious, it's usually subconscious. It's an evolutionary mechanism designed to answer one question: is this man solid? Does he have a backbone? If I lean on him, will he support me, or will he collapse? When she pokes at a boundary and you immediately fold, you think you're being nice. Her subconscious brain, however, registers this as weakness. It registers as instability. If you cannot stand up to her, how will you stand up to the world for her? Consider the lighthouse. It doesn't move for the waves. It doesn't dim its light because the ocean is angry. It stands firm. That firmness is what makes it valuable. If the lighthouse moved every time the waves crashed, it would be useless. When you collapse your boundaries to please a woman, you become a shapeshifter. And you cannot truly love a shapeshifter, because you never know who he is going to be tomorrow. This brings us to the integration trap. This is the romantic delusion that prioritizing anything other than your partner equals loving them less. Society feeds us this narrative through movies and songs. You are my everything. I can't live without you. You complete me. It sounds poetic. In practice, it is suffocating. A man whose world revolves entirely around one woman becomes a psychological burden, not a gift. Here is the hard truth. Healthy feminine psychology is attracted to a man who is on a mission. A man who has a purpose, a drive, and a life that exists independently of his relationship. When you abandon your male friendships, those crucial sources of masculine energy, accountability, and perspective, you cut off your psychological supply lines. When you stop playing basketball, stop building your business, stop reading your books, or stop hiking because she wants to spend time together, you are effectively cannibalizing the very identity that attracted her in the first place. Think about it biologically. If you make her the sole source of your happiness, your validation, and your entertainment, you have created a closed loop. You are placing a crushing weight on her shoulders. You are essentially saying, I have no life. You must be my life. You must entertain me, validate me, and give me purpose. No human being can bear that responsibility for long without developing resentment. This is why she pulls away. She feels the weight of your entire existence leaning on her, and her instinct is to dodge. Your hobbies, your passions, and your friends are not obstacles to your relationship. They are the nutrients of your personality. They are what make you interesting. They give you stories to tell at dinner. They give you confidence that isn't dependent on her mood. By maintaining your separate world, you create scarcity. Scarcity creates value. If you are always available, always present, and always focused on her, your attention loses its value. Gold is valuable because it is rare. Air is vital, but we ignore it because it is everywhere until it's gone. Don't be air. Be gold. Now we must discuss the destruction engine of pursuit. When you sense her pulling away, your anxiety spikes. Your amygdala screams, danger. She is leaving. Fix it. Do something. So you text more. You call more. You buy flowers. You ask, what's wrong? Are we okay? Did I do something? This is the pursuit paradox. The more you chase someone who is withdrawing, the faster they will run. Why? Because attraction is not a negotiation. It is a biological response. You cannot logic a woman into desiring you. You cannot work hard enough to make her feel chemistry. When you chase, you signal two things. Desperation. You are signaling that you do not believe you are valuable enough to be chosen freely. You feel you must force the outcome, safety violation. You are not respecting her need for space. You are encroaching. Healthy relationships function like a dance. There is a natural rhythm of coming together and moving apart. When she moves back, she is often processing, recharging, or simply busy. If you rush into that space with panic, you suffocate the spark. Visual, text on screen, attraction grows in space, not in congestion. You must understand that stopping the chase is not a game. It is an act of self-respect. When you stop chasing, you allow two critical things to happen. First, you give her the space to actually miss you. You cannot miss something that is constantly in your face. Second, you gain clarity. If you stop rowing the boat, does the relationship drift apart? If the only thing keeping the connection alive is your desperate effort, you don't have a relationship, you have a hostage situation. When you are willing to let her go, you demonstrate the ultimate form of confidence. I want you, but I do not need you to survive. That mindset is magnetic. It flips the dynamic from a man begging for attention to a man inviting a woman into his world, if, and only if, she chooses to be there. One of the most insidious traps for good men is the project mentality. This occurs when you stop being her lover and start being her therapist, her life coach, or her father figure. You see her potential. You see her trauma. You see how great she could be if she just listened to your advice, followed your routine, or adopted your mindset. You think this is love. You think, I am helping her grow. But in reality, you are destroying the romantic polarity. Intimacy requires two adults standing on equal footing. When you try to fix her, you create a hierarchy. You place yourself above her as the capable guide and her below you as the broken project. This kills sexual attraction instantly. Why? Because it creates a mother-son or father-daughter dynamic. It is clinical. It is parental. It is not sexy. Furthermore, when you position yourself as her solution, you automatically position her as your problem. You are no longer dating a woman, you are managing a renovation project. Women sense this immediately. Even if your advice is correct, your attempt to change her triggers deep psychological resistance. It implies that she is not enough as she is. This breeds resentment. She will rebel against your guidance, not because the guidance is bad, but because she wants a partner who sees her, not a project manager who is evaluating her. You cannot simultaneously be someone's improvement coach and their sexually attractive partner. You have to choose. If you find yourself constantly trying to save her from her own bad decisions, you need to ask yourself a hard question. Am I in love with this woman, or am I in love with the fantasy of who she could become? Dating potential is a fool's errand. You must look at the reality in front of you. If you cannot accept her exactly as she is today, without a single thing changing, then you are with the wrong person. And no amount of fixing will solve that incompatibility. Let's talk about the economics of emotion. There is a prevalent belief that if you just give enough, emotionally, financially, physically, eventually, you will get a return on your investment. This is the vending machine view of relationships. Insert kindness coins, receive sex and love. But human beings are not vending machines. When you overgive, when you contribute 90% of the effort, make all the plans, pay for everything, and initiate every text, you are not demonstrating high value. You are demonstrating low self-worth. You are signaling that you have to pay for her presence because your personality alone isn't enough. Psychologically, this creates an imbalance called the Ben Franklin effect. We tend to like people more when we do favors for them, not when they do favors for us. Why? Because our brain rationalizes, I am investing in this person, therefore they must be valuable. When you do everything for her, you rob her of the opportunity to invest in you. You rob her of the chance to earn your respect. You make her a passive passenger in the relationship. She becomes the taker, and you become the resentful giver. You start keeping a subconscious scorecard. I did X, Y, and Z for her, why won't she just do this one thing for me? This leads to covert contracts, silent agreements she never signed but you expect her to fulfill. Secure men expect reciprocity. They understand that a relationship is a tennis match. You hit the ball over the net. Then, you wait. You do not run to the other side and hit it back to yourself. You wait for her to return the energy. If she doesn't hit it back, the game is over. You don't keep serving balls into an empty court. All of these behaviors, the lack of boundaries, the chasing, the fixing, the overgiving, they all stem from one root cause, the refusal to accept reality. We ignore attachment styles. We ignore behavioral inconsistencies. We ignore the fact that she treats service staff rudely, or talks badly about all her exes, or flakes on plans repeatedly. We ignore these red flags because we are addicted to the hope of what the relationship means to us. The awareness vacuum operates by convincing you to prioritize words over actions. She says she loves you, so you ignore that she treats you with indifference. She says she wants a future, but her actions keep her in the past. True relationship intelligence is the ability to look at the data without emotion. Does she respect your time? Does she reciprocate your effort? Does she take accountability for her mistakes? Does she respect your boundaries when you set them? If the answer is no, no amount of being a better boyfriend will fix it. The hardest pill to swallow is that sometimes, you are doing everything right, but you are doing it with the wrong person. You cannot negotiate desire. You cannot earn attraction through servitude. It is either there, or it is not. And staying in a situation where you have to constantly audition for her love is the ultimate act of self-disrespect. Understanding these relationship-destroying behaviors isn't about becoming cold, calculated, or misogynistic. It isn't about playing hard to get. It is about becoming hard to forget. It's about recognizing that a healthy relationship requires two whole, sovereign individuals. It requires a man who respects himself enough to say no, a man who loves his own life enough to not abandon it, and a man who knows his value enough to walk away when it isn't recognized. Real love does not require you to destroy your identity. Real love enhances your identity. The right woman doesn't want a fan, she wants a partner. She doesn't want a doormat, she wants a mountain. Stop trying to become what you think she wants, and start being who you actually are. Reclaim your boundaries. Reclaim your passions. Reclaim your masculine core. If you recognized yourself in this script, if you felt that sting of recognition, don't feel ashamed. We have all been there. The society we live in trains men to be nice at the expense of being real. But now you know better. If you are ready to stop the cycle of self-destruction and start building a life and relationships based on genuine respect and polarity, make sure you subscribe to Aphorism Archive. Hit the notification bell. We are building a community of men who are mastering the art of communication and the psychology of self-improvement. Don't sacrifice your weekly basketball game. Don't sacrifice your soul. I'll see you in the next video.